Welcome to Game and Tech Corner. Today I'm going to talk about a board game called Escape the Dark Castle. It's a 1 to 4 player, choose your own adventure card game, very atmospheric, very narratively driven, with dice rolling mechanic as well. It's quite dark, it's quite brutal, so it is age 14 plus. It was designed by Thomas Pike, Alex Crispin and James Shelton, and it plays in about 30 to 40 minutes. So without further ado, we're going to go to the game board and I'm going to show you the components and how to play the game.
Okay, so here we have the setup for a 4-player game, as you can see by the 4 characters in front of me. The components we've got for the game are large cards, which are the chapter cards. We have smaller cards, which are item cards. We have these black dice, which are the chapter dice. We also have our character sheets, which is basically a character card with 3 stats, and I'll talk about the 3 stats in a second, and 1 white dice for each of your characters, a piece of paper and a pencil to write down your hit points, and that is all the components for Escape the Dark Castle. Now, linked to some of these components, if we have a little look at one of the character cards here, okay, you'll see that we've got the tailor. It's denoted by the name at the top. Also on the dice, it'll actually say the name as well. So it says tailor there. And you'll see the 3 different stats. We've got an eye, which stands for cunning. We have a star, which stands for wisdom. And we have a fist, which stands for might. So the tailor, as you can see, has 4 in cunning. So she's very cunning, a 3 in her wisdom, so she's quite wise, but only a 1 in her might. So the 4 characters you choose, or the characters you choose to create your party, try to make them balanced to give yourself the best possible chance to complete the game. Now, talking about these notches and the dice, as you can see there are actually 8 notches for their abilities. Now, that doesn't make sense as it's a 6-sided dice, and the reason why is because you have 2 of the sides as double success results, and these double success results are also have a shield around them. Now the shield, when you do your tasks, it may be combat or it could be a trap, if you manage to roll that shield, it actually stops the damage from being inflicted onto you. So that's quite a strong ability, and it's a 1 in 3 chance for every character. However, it depends on what the character's strength is. The cook is very mighty, the tanner is very wise, and both the miller and tailor are both very cunning. You start the game in a 4-player game with 12 hit points, and it's very much a narrative game. So you're going to be reading text from the cards. Each of these is called a chapter, so it's a bit like a book, a mini book, and together, cooperatively, you are going to run through those chapters and try and defeat the boss at the end. Now, talking about the cooperative nature of this, if any one of the characters in the game reaches 0 hit points, everyone loses the game. You actually lose the game and you stop. We've played it about 5 times. We've managed to win once and lose 4 times. So it is a hard game, and that's the first thing to note. But I'll go through some of the mechanics so you can see for yourself. So we have chosen our characters, we've got our dice and everything else. So we start by reading the dice, reading the chapter cards. Now the chapter cards, you nominate a player to read the chapter dice. To read the chapter cards. It may be a trap, so it's always advisable to send your most healthiest character to read that card, or to attempt to read the chapter. The first card, nothing will happen, so we'll just start with this one. And it says, turn over to begin. So, all the cards have the same kind of format, where they have a picture showing the scene, giving you a bit of flavour for what you're looking at. And then you have, in italic, the flavour text. This is the narrative. So, after years of incarceration in the depths of the dark castle, you finally break free of your cell. In a small stone room adjoining the cell block stands an old wooden chest. The lock is open. Then it says, draw an item per card per player. Now, so this is the item deck. So what we'll do is we'll give 1, 2, 3, and 4. Now it is very much a cooperative game, okay, so you can obviously really be liking one of the item cards that you've got, but you want to make it the strongest possible combination, and some things will actually team up with a particular skill, so you want to be sharing those items. A note to make: each character can only carry 2 items at any one time. There are some items in the card deck which are actually 2 handed weapons, therefore you can only carry that 1 item. Therefore it's important to share them around. After you complete each chapter, you will then go ahead and you will actually be able to exchange all your items around. Okay, so looking at some of these items, I'm just going to move that over there for now. We have Effervescent Evasion. When you would take damage, discard to avoid that damage. So a very strong defensive item to start with, but you would discard it. In fact, all 4 of these items that we've drawn, you would discard when you use them. The next one, which is kind of like the healing potion of this game, they don't sound very enticing, but they do help you with hit points. So this is an Infested Cheese Wheel. It's discard to restore 1 hit point to all characters. So this one would actually help all the characters. And then we have 2 Stale Loaves of Bread. And this says discard to restore 2 hit points to your character. So this would be restoring health to that particular character. Okay, so there are our starting items. We'll keep them where they are for now. Then if we go back to our starting card, it then says, you hear footsteps approaching. You must not linger here. You make for the exit, slipping away and disappearing into the darkness. Turn the first chapter card now. So this is where you decide as a group who will turn over that first chapter. Everyone's at full health, so it doesn't really matter. It's completely random. So let's go with the Miller, because he's right in front of me. So the Miller's going to turn over the first card. So again, we've got our picture, denoting the scene, what we can see, and then the flavor text and the narrative text next. So this doesn't look too nice a character. Hurrying into the candlelit chamber, you interrupt a sacrificial ceremony. A robed man in a death mask declares that you too must now be sacrificed. Lovely. But this one, I chose this card, by the way. I didn't make it random because I wanted to show the mechanics of the game. I'm only going to show you this one card. I don't want to spoil too much more. So it says begin combat, but there is a combat special, and this is why it's important you declare who turns the card over. This says you, in bold, which means Miller, the Miller, are overcome with fear. Any doubles you roll this chapter count as singles and you cannot block. So that means with the Miller only, not the other 3, if a double is rolled with the defensive shield around it, that will only count as a single and it doesn't defend. Now that's important because I'll explain with the rest of the symbols on the card. Down the bottom left is the chapter dice pool. Okay, this is effectively what you have to defeat this chapter, or this cultist, which it seems to be. Okay, so it has one cunning automatically, 1 wisdom, and then it's got a torso, picture of a torso. That means you roll as many chapter dice as there are players. So we have 4 players, so we roll our 4 chapter dice and we get 2 more wisdom, 1 more cunning, and a might. So that is our dice pool. Okay, that's what we have to defeat this character. Now we take it in rounds and you simultaneously roll your dice if you're going to attack, in this case with combat, and you take away any of the dice that match the symbol on your player dice. So what will happen if we don't clear all of these 6 dice in this case, then if there are any dice left after you've all rolled your dice, then you would receive damage. Each player who participated in the attack of 2 damage, because that's the number in the bottom right. If you manage to roll a shield, that means you would not take that damage. Okay, so there's a 1 in 3 chance that you do not take any damage on a roll, except for, of course, because of the combat special, the Miller. So we're looking for very wise, so the Tanner is our wisest. The Tailor's very wise. I think we will all roll, because we've all got full health, so we might as well, and try and get as many results as possible. So you all roll simultaneously, and the Tailor, which is over here, manages a fist. The Cook manages an eye. The Tanner manages a fist. And unfortunately, the Miller hits the double. Now, remember the rule, the combat special, sorry. If that is true, then that gets changed to a single result without a shield. So we have 2 fists. There's only 1 fist there, and 2 eyes. So we haven't done a very wise attack. We managed to take away those 3 dice, leaving 3 wisdom. Because there's dice left in the pool, each player who participated and didn't roll a shield will receive 2 damage. So on your little sheets, you take it down to 10 hit points. Except, and I'm going to use this to show you what I mean, the Cook, who has Effervescence Evasion, will discard their Effervescence Evasion potion and not take that damage. Right, now we need to do wisdom. So the Tanner definitely is going forward. The Tailor is definitely going forward. The Miller is going to hold back and rest. Now, once per round, every round, 1 and only 1 character can choose to rest. That means they do not roll their dice, they do not participate in the task, they will not receive the damage, and they heal 1 hit point. So the other 3 are going to have a little roll and see if we get some wisdom. We didn't get any wisdom, but fortunately we got 2 shields. So the Cook got 2 fists and a shield. The Tailor got 2 cunning and a shield. And the Tanner got 1 cunning. Oh dear, that was a bad choice. So Tanner with might, Tailor with cunning, Miller with cunning, and the Cook manages to defend, but no successes. So no more items left. That's 2 damage apiece, not the Cook. So we're down to 5 with the Tanner. This is not good. We're down to 10 and 9. Right, Tanner's going to heal up. So I'm just going to try and get some stars. Oh, we do like this cunning. This is not good. So again, we're going to take another 2 damage each for these. But we restore 1 hit point with our Tanner. That's definitely going. This time the Tailor's going to take a rest. Oh. And this shows how brutal this game can be. The Tanner is all on the rolls. The Cook and the Miller all take 2. We're down to 7, 4, and 6. Going up to 8 for the Tailor. Wow, this has not gone well. I'm going to rest up with the Miller. Most useless due to the fact that the combat special means that they can't use doubles. And roll with the other 3. Come on! Come on, wisdom. 2 wisdoms and a Tailor getting a defense. So we do take 2 of these dice away. Unfortunately, still 1 left. So we still haven't defeated it. So next we take the Cook. Who did you roll with? Oh dear. The Cook, the Tanner, and both get 2 hit points, and the Tanner's down to 2 hit points. So I can't really risk her. I can't risk her, because if she dies, we lose the game. And this is the first the first chapter. It has not gone well, and this shows just how brutal this game can be. So there's only 1 dice left. We're gonna heal up the Tanner because we really do need to heal her, and try and roll the others. Can we get? Oh wow. Miller and Tailor both get single results, but nothing. We do get the Tanner back up to 3. That means I can actually use her in this and hopefully finish this off. The Cook The cook's doing really well. Cook managed to defend it, but the miller is going down to 4 hit points and 6 hit points for the tailor. So we need to finish this off. The miller is going to rest. Come on. There we go. We've got our last, and actually we've got overkill. We've got lots of wisdom going on. So I'm just going to raise the miller's hit points up by 1. And this is why you need quite a long piece of paper, because your hit points are going to fluctuate really, really fast. And we've done the chapter, and we've defeated the cultist. So the last dice disappears. Whenever you enter combat and you manage to defeat it, you draw 1 item card for the group. It's a very important one. It's another effervescence evasion. That will be going straight to the tanner, who's only on 3 hit points. So the chances of me being able to complete this are next to nothing, because we've still got 14 chapters to go before even the boss, and then we've got the boss. So it's going to be a bit hard, I think, this round. And that's the nature of dice rolling. If you are not a fan of randomness and dice rolling, this may not be the game for you. However, if you like a narrative card game, a cooperative game where you're kind of going through a dungeon and you're seeing all these new events, they're not all combat. That's very important to make a note of. There are lots of different types of things. You might be making decisions, moral decisions, which will actually give you bonuses, or it might actually lose you the game. It's definitely brutal, but a lot of fun, and the cooperative nature of it really makes it fun. You can actually play it solo as well. There is rules to make it solo, but it's best played with a group of you. 4 is the perfect number. I would highly recommend it. It has got an age recommendation of 14 plus. That's more about the theme and how brutal and dark the actual game is, rather than the mechanics. It's pretty simple. It's dice rolling. There are some items obviously as well, but really enjoyed it. I've played it 5 times, only won once, and you can kind of see why from this little snippet from what we have. There are expansions if you want more bosses, want more events, or chapters I should say, sorry, and more characters. But so much more with the random nature that it all gets built for the game, makes it so replayable. Really enjoy it. 2 thumbs up. Love it for Escape from the Dark Castle.